Saturday morning, everyone. We're half past the hour. The Department of Homeland Security announcing Friday a second person who participated in a pro-Palestinian protest at Columbia University has been arrested. This as more protests took place on Columbia's campus on Friday, all in a show of support for Mahmoud Khalil, a recent Columbia graduate who is currently in detention after his arrest last week. NewsNation's Alicia Nieves is live outside of Columbia University. Good morning, Alicia. What do we know about the two arrests and how have things been on campus?
Yeah, I mean, in total, in just this past week, we have seen now 3 students who participated in those pro-Palestinian protests here at Columbia University be targeted by the Trump administration for deportation. In the last 24 hours, we know that U.S. immigration officials announced that they revoked the student visa of one student, Rajani Srinivasani, and that student self-deported this week. They also announced the arrest of another student, Laqua Cordia. They said that student was arrested during the protests last year at the university and then also was arrested this past week by ICE officials in New Jersey. They say that she currently is actually overstaying her visa. Now, this all follows, of course, the more controversial detention of Mahmoud Khalil. He was the first student targeted by this administration, and we have seen over the past week thousands have protested around the country demanding that he be freed. Now, his situation a bit more unique in that he is here legally as a permanent resident with a green card, and that typically affords him, more protections than someone here on a student visa. Typically, an immigration judge can be the only one to revoke his green card. And now on Thursday, we saw hundreds gather inside Trump Towers as this situation has been heating up over the past week. The president's famed New York City residents, and they were ringing the alarm that the chilling effect they think this might be having on free speech and trying to send that message directly to the president. So as I noted here a moment ago, 3 students having their privileges in this country revoked. We know, though, the Trump administration actually had hoped to detain more students. We're told that U.S. immigration officials actually searched the residence of 2 other Columbia University residents trying to find students there. They were unable to find those students and as a result have been frustrated. DHS officials saying they now believe that Columbia University is actually harboring illegal aliens. Hena.
And Alicia, the Trump administration gave that ultimatum to Columbia University this week. What do we know about that ultimatum? And of course, the president's plans for colleges, not only here in New York or at Columbia, but across the country.
Yeah, well, I mean, first, we know that Columbia University is well aware the Trump administration can and will follow through on its threats, right? You have these students being detained, sanctions on them, and then you have sanctions on the university, federal funding being pulled. Within the past week, we've reported on this. Trump canceled $400 million worth of grants earmarked for the Ivy League university, citing the school's handling of those protests last year. Now Trump is taking it a step further, as he noted, threatening to end all federal funding permanently for the university if it does not fall in line with a list of demands by the administration. Those demands include things like undergoing comprehensive admission reform, placing its Middle Eastern, South Asian, and African Studies department under academic receivership for 5 years, banning masks on campus, and adopting a new definition for anti-Semitism. And this is not just something, we're seeing at Columbia University, or we could see at Columbia University. Trump is using this school as a rule and not the exception. He clearly wants other schools and universities around the country to get the message and has threatened to withhold federal funding to those colleges if they do not align with his agenda. Things like transgender athletic policies and DEI programs, moves to kind of abolish them. In fact, just yesterday, we saw the Department of Education announce federal investigation to 52 universities around the country for DEI issues and crackdowns, alleging these programs exclude white and Asian American citizens and that that's a form of discrimination. So as a result, Hena, we have seen universities around the country, including Columbia University, kind of scramble to try and run their institutions with this kind of new playing field, if you will, Hena.
Alicia Nieves, live outside of Columbia University. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.